Welcome to the Bruins Benders Podcast, Season 3, Episode 55, the season finale, if you will. We're live on YouTube with Maddie and Smitty, brought to you on the Inside the Rink Podcast Network. InsideTheRink.com is your one-stop shop for all your NHL, AHL, ECHL, and PWHL news, insight, and analysis. Hit the subscribe button on Inside the Rink's YouTube channel. All subscribers are eligible for the NHL jersey giveaway, jersey of your choice from Fanatics. A winner will be selected from August and then now in September. And follow this QR code on your screen to purchase event tickets through Ticketmaster and help support the program. You can also follow us each on X. We're at Bruins Benders, and then at Benders Smitty, and at Mr. Matty Barry. And Smitty was at rookie camp today as a member of the Bruins Benders Podcast and Inside the Rink. What a great opportunity.
It was a great opportunity. I had a good time. Got to see some hockey action, which is nice. Back into it a little bit. The drive there was, some traffic. And then the parking situation, terrible. But that's what you get for driving into the city.
Yeah.
I think there was some kind of event or something going on at the New Balance building. There was people everywhere. It was a mess. And it cost me $36 to park for 2 hours. So there you go. I'm submitting my receipts to our fine producer, Connor.
Yeah.
Who will gladly reimburse me.
Gladly.
For the content that I provided and am providing.
Well, we're a high-end operation.
Absolutely.
So I don't think $36. What a drop in the bucket that is. Really. Yeah. But it's good. It's good to be able to be there. You got some nice video that's on our X page.
Yes.
Of some of the sort of the highlights of what was happening, some of the prospects, some of the camp invites too that you may not have heard of before, but showed some nice talents and abilities.
Yeah, I thought there was some guys that stood out. We'll get to it a little later in the show, but there were some guys that absolutely stood out. Some guys that you would expect to stand out that had been to camp before, or some older players that have been to some Bruins training camps and whatnot. So those are the guys that you would expect to shine, and some of those guys did. And then there were some surprises as well.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll talk about that in Seven Chirps. And Seven Chirps is sponsored by Lops Brewing, Lobster Brewery and Tasting Room in downtown Woonsocket, Rhode Island, specializing in small batch ales and lagers. It's open 7 days a week. Use the coupon code SPORTS to get 10% off your online order. Go to lopsbrewing.com and follow them at Lops Brewing on social media for new beers and events. Chirp 1, no Georgi Merkulov and no Fabian Lysell. Providence Bruins coach Ryan Mougenel says that the Bruins want them at veteran camp and ready to go, and that there'll be viable options, and that he thinks they'll have a strong camp.
Yeah, I think that's, kind of a good sign for those guys that they've kind of graduated from the rookie camp, and the Bruins brass is expecting big things from them in regular camp. And both those guys, in my opinion, have shots to make the big club. I would like to see that happen. I would like to see those guys take spots rather than, a guy on a PTO coming in and taking a spot. So it's time for those guys to kind of rise to the occasion here and grab a roster spot with the big club.
Yeah, and it would behoove the Bruins if one of those guys would just take it. That would probably be the best case scenario. I mean, obviously Tyler Johnson's there for some insurance. But once you get beyond that, I just don't think you're going to be as good as you can be if a second line right winger is, a guy that's forced to play out of position, really, and is more of a bottom six guy, and you kind of have to throw him up there. And that, I think that takes a little bit away from what you're trying to do, particularly offensively.
Yeah, they need more skill. They need more skill for sure. They have a lot of guys, I think, who could fill in on the bottom six. Not so many guys, I think, who have the skill and ability in the top six. So it would really behoove one of those young guys, whether it's Lysell or Merkulov, to take that spot and run with it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just hoping that one of them will come about. I think it's probably going to be Merkulov. I think he has the best scenario now, the best chance. I mean, he's right there. He had 30 goals last year. I mean, he should progress. He's had a little bit of a taste of it too. So now, does he come in wanting? You almost have to take the spot. You have to kind of take it. And I think that Mougenel talked about it today, like that because Patra and Lysell and Beecher made the team and played some fairly significant minutes, that it gives the other prospect like a boost. Hey, if I show up and I
Mhm.
well and I progress, that I can make the team. And maybe that hasn't been the case in recent years because the team was so good, and also because maybe they didn't trust young players and they really kind of coddled them and tried to, take as much time as possible before they gave him a spot. But now it seems as though if you show up and you play and you show that you belong, that you'll get a spot.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. I mean, you should earn your spot. I mean, Brad Marchand said it the other day when he was talking about coming back after the 3 surgeries, and he said that you need to earn a spot every year. He feels like he needs to earn his spot every year. So certainly a new guy coming up needs to earn his spot. He needs to take the spot from somebody else. There's only a certain amount of jobs in the NHL, and coming up, you need to steal someone else's job. That's just the way it is. You're replacing someone else. So you have to be better than them. And it's not just going to be given to you. You have to earn it. And those guys up until this point, really haven't earned it. Merkulov had some defensive question marks and question marks about his effort. Lysell, has been a little injury prone and, maybe a little slight and hasn't kind of been able to sustain it at the AHL level. He's started to come on last year. And Merkulov certainly had a good year in the AHL last year. So now's the time for them. It really is. Now's the time for those guys to, prove themselves at the NHL level.
Absolutely. Chirp 2, Brandon Bussey is not at rookie camp, and Mougenel says he's in great shape, lost a little bit of weight, ready to go, ready to make the club. And this is going to be, I think, a fairly interesting battle for backup goaltender. I know they have, Korpisalo's still under contract 4 years, makes $3 million a year and so forth. So that puts him in the lead, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But, Bussey may force his way in here to play and join the club at some point. And with 1 year to go, sign 1 more year. So is he a trade chip? Is he someone that you showcase at some point? So Bussey is becoming a little bit of a wild card here.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what will happen between Korpisalo and Bussey with that backup job. Because, if Korpisalo doesn't play well in the preseason, I could certainly see a scenario where he gets sent down and they kind of eat some of his money in the minors. And Bussey takes a job if he plays better. It's really up to him. Again, he's got to come up and steal that backup job from Korpisalo. And if Korpisalo's not playing well and Bussey is, that should be his job. We'll see, because the money and the veteran part, that always seems to play more of a part than we think it does. But, in my opinion, it should be based on merit. And if Bussey is better, he should be the one who gets that job.
For sure. He really should. And then, of course, Michael DiPietro's in there too. And they've signed a couple of guys from the Maine Mariners. So Ryan Bischel's in camp now too. So I'm not sure where all these goaltenders are going to fit up and down the organization. So we'll see how that plays out in camp here. Chirp 3, forwards that stood out from day one of rookie camp. And really liked Riley Duran.
Yes.
And a little bit, and also a little bit of a funny moment from Duran.
Yeah, so Duran is there was a drill where one of the coaches hold the puck along the wall. The forward is supposed to come and strip the puck from the coach, and then start the breakout, send the players on the way, and then go down the other end and try to score on a 2-on-1 or something. And he went in pretty hard to one of the coaches. I didn't notice if it was Adam McQuaid or one of the other coaches on the Providence staff, but he got a talking to afterwards that he needed to relax a little bit. But that just shows his competitiveness and his will to win. I also posted a video earlier of Duran at the end of a drill, gloving a puck out of the air and throwing it into the net against one of the goalies. So he's always on the edge, always looking to compete and kind of, under your skin type of guy. I really like his competitiveness and his fire. He takes the puck hard to the net. He's a bigger kid too. He's got great speed. So I certainly feel like he has an outside shot to compete for a fourth line role with the Bruins. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And he made some good points actually afterwards to reporters talking about the length of the season. And he went from a 30-game NCAA season to 70 to 80 games in the AHL. Of course, now in the NHL, 82. And it's a real factor and a real adjustment. And I think it's something we don't really talk about enough and we don't really understand enough with a guy like Matt Poitras and Mason Lowry. When you're getting into 82 games in the season and then more, could be 100 games you play in the NHL when you've only played 30 to maybe you played 50 to 60, at the OHL, the WHL or somewhere. But it's a real adjustment. When you talk about physicality, you talk about travel, all the things that come into it. And Duran made some interesting points about it today, about just the total adjustment of having to play from 30 to now 70 to 80 games, over double what you normally do. And for a guy like Duran, whose whole thing is being aggressive, playing hard, being competitive, do you kind of gas yourself after a while?
Yeah, I think that probably takes a toll on you. And that's one of the things that the guys need to learn is how to be a professional, how to take care of their bodies, how to get enough rest, how to eat the right way. All those things that go into it, will help them, withstand a long season. There's certainly going to be injuries in hockey and especially, in a long season with a grind like that. You can't expect guys to just go through without getting dinged up a little bit, but it certainly shows what goes into and what your mindset has to be in order to make it all the way through a full season.
Right. And another guy that really needs to kind of show his worth and is probably on the cusp is John Farinacci, who was a very good player at Harvard, had a good year last year for the Providence Bruins. He's been a captain. He's a leader type player, solid player, good hands, and as you said, has good vision, good shot.
Yeah, this is another guy I think that needs to score more at the AHL level, coming up into the NHL level. That was kind of his bread and butter in college. He was more of a top six guy. He's not big enough, in my opinion, to really be a bottom six guy. So he's going to have to produce in Providence this year to get a look. And maybe he will, because he does have, skills. He does have a good shot. He does compete. He's a captain, he's a leader. He does all the little things the right way. He just needs to produce. It comes down to that. Like, are you going to be a really good AHL player, or can you produce enough to make it to the NHL level? And I think that's the question with him.
And then Trevor Kuntar is another one. He's another grinder type player, greasy. He had a goal off his face today.
He did.
He's a guy that just kind of is difficult to play against. He's kind of built like a fire hydrant. Plays an aggressive in your face kind of style. Another guy like Duran. Boy, I like the prospects of just in Providence having Duran, Farinacci, and Duran, throw them all on the same line.
Yeah.
Like, geez, that's a line where everybody's kind of solid. Everybody's a pretty good leader. Everybody competes really hard. And Kuntar's a similar type of player.
Yeah, he's always around the puck all day today. He was around the puck, around the net. He did score a goal off his face. Guy takes a shot, a blocker save, and he's driving the net hard, and it goes in right off his face. And he had a big grin afterwards. He had a big grin the whole day, actually. He looked like he was having a ball out there. And he was probably, I think this is, I don't know if it's his third rookie camp, but he's been around here for a bit. And he was kind of the leader out there, and you could see it. And he set the tone with the way that he played. He was competitive. He was going hard all the time. He was digging pucks out. He was getting to the net. He was doing all the things that you would want him to do as a guy that's showing the other guys how they need to play and how they need to, act and the things that you need to do to be successful, as a professional.
And there were 13 camp invites, so guys who aren't on the roster or aren't really a part of the organization, and 2 of them are forwards. Carlin Dezainde, I hope I'm saying that correctly. And hello to his family who loved the videos we put on X today. Good shot, good hands. We had a video of him actually having a really nice little snipe goal where he made a nifty little move, swiveled his hips, and kind of shoveled it over the goalie's shoulder. Has a good motor, and you liked kind of his style, even though he's on the smaller side.
Yeah, he is on the smaller side, but he has a great shot. I mean, he really can rip the puck, and he was putting it in the right spots today. I think he probably had 3 or 4 different goals on shots from the slot, and some other nice moves in tight around the net. He did get pushed around a little bit when they got into some of the, the more type of 2-on-2 or like 4-on-4 scrum type of battles and stuff like that. So, obviously he's got to work on body positioning and protecting the puck and that kind of stuff to be successful, but he has all the tools, to score goals and produce. So, it'll be interesting to see how he plays and how those skills translate in the games this weekend up in Buffalo.
All right, and Carlin is with Prince George of the WHL. And then Markus Vidicek, who had a tremendous year last year in the Q with 88 points. Smooth, good hands and vision. He's playing with Moncton. He'll play with Loke Johansson on the Moncton Wildcats team this coming season.
Yeah, he looked really good. Same kind of thing. He's a smallish guy, but his hands and skill jumped off the ice. Like he was dangling guys. He was making people miss. He had a few passes through traffic right on the tape. So, he has all the skills, but again, as a smaller guy, can you protect the puck? Can you, withstand battles? Can you take hits? It's that kind of stuff that he's going to have to, body positioning and things like that, because you're not going to grow at this point in time. So you have to, work on positioning and moving without the puck and, being responsible defensively, those kind of things. But I'll be interested to see him, play this weekend as well. And hopefully he gets some time either on the power play or with some other guys who are creative and like to see what they can do.
And one other guy that really needs to show something this year is Brett Harrison. And Harrison is the guy, he actually is the highest draft pick at rookie camp.
Really?
He was at, I think, 85 overall in the 3rd round. He's the highest. And then Kuntar was like 89. So they don't have any 1st or 2nd round picks at rookie camp.
Wow.
And he is the highest draft pick there. And he's been in the organization a while now. And it's time now for Harrison to either show it or he's an AHLer forever.
He had some really pretty goal. He had a one-handed tuck goal on a drill where you take the puck off the wall and do a little give and go. Beautiful goal. Got a lot of cheers from his teammates. We put that video up on X earlier. And he still has a really good shot. Like there was a few times that he, rockets. I mean, he really can shoot the puck. It's can he skate? Can he do all the other things to get to the NHL level? Here's another guy. You have the shot. Like you need to produce goals now.
Yes.
You need to be a 30 goal scorer in the AHL if you want to get a sniff of the NHL. So it's up to him, really. I mean, there's guys in the league, Frank Vetrano being one, not the greatest skater in the world, but he can utilize the shot. He can move to the open areas. And if you can do that, Harrison has a similar kind of shot. If you can get to the open space on the ice and score goals, like you're valuable. So, it's up to him to figure some of that stuff out. And like you said, it's kind of a make or break year for him.
In Frank Vetrano, before Georgi Mikula, who had 30 last year, he was the last guy to have 30 for Providence. He had 36 in 36 games.
Yeah,
So Frank, you don't have to tell Frank to shoot
I know.
because he loves to shoot the puck.
He does.
So and he shoots it well. I mean, he's still producing in the NHL. I mean, he was a guy that nobody kind of knew. He's from Longmeadow. He's from UMass.
Yeah.
He was just kind of an extra guy, and then moved on from the Bruins, moved on, and then now he's still scoring goals. And if you can do one elite thing, as Smitty says,
Mm-hmm.
just do one thing elite. And Frank is an elite shooter of the puck.
Certainly
So if Harrison can do that, you can't score 5 goals at Providence.
Nope.
And expect to be an NHL player. You
Absolutely
can't.
not.
You just can't do it. And that's what he had was 5. So that's not enough. That's just not enough. Chirp 4. Defenseman that stood out from day one of rookie camp and Loke Johansson, 6th round pick in 2024. Big, skates well, big boy, physical. And he liked his breakout passing and vision.
I did. I thought he was really pretty smooth, around the net and breaking out passes. I thought he closed down gaps really well today. There was a few plays where there were 2-on-1s that because he's so big and has the reach, he can get the stick in a shooting or passing lane and broke up a bunch of plays today. So he really popped out to me because of his, size and his skating ability, because there's other guys that are big, but they can't skate that way. He just seemed really fluid for a big guy. And that's not usually what you see, maybe we'll get a little spoiled here seeing guys like Brandon Kylo and Mason Lowry, who are both big guys who can really skate well. And I think Johansson's going to kind of fill a similar, void there.
Yeah, we had a video on X where it was a 2-on-1 and he kind of just let his size do the work. He didn't really overcommit. He didn't really, he just kind of let, the goalie focus on the puck and the shooter, and just kind of, they didn't have much of a chance because of it. So he showed some good instincts there defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And he's big. He's 6'3". I mean, he's a late round pick. And whenever you talk about late round picks, there's a long hill to climb.
Yes.
To get to the NHL, but he certainly has size. And if he can defend and be physical, the league is trending back that way with a defenseman. So, if he's able to play that and willing to play, look at Jeremy Lauzon. Like,
Sure.
I never thought Jeremy Lauzon would be much of anything. And he's physical and he takes all sorts of penalties and, he fights and everything, but he makes money playing hockey because of it. So, that's a big deal. Tomas Cibulka, you really liked his good offensive instincts. He's a camp invite.
Yeah, I thought he was really good today. He has really good hands, offensive instincts. He walked the blue line a few times, shook off some checks, made a great seam pass after he beat his man up high for a really good chance that the shooter did not score on. But he has really good vision. It was a kind of a pass seam through traffic. And he kind of stood out to me because he's pretty quick too. I think he's a fairly big guy, over 6 feet, I believe. So, he kind of popped out to me among the defensemen today. I thought he showed pretty well.
Yeah, he's 6 foot. He plays in the queue for the Cape Breton Eagles and also played for Czechia in the World Junior Championships last season. So he's 20 years old and getting a taste of playing in a NHL rookie camp. And then Frederic Brunet, who people rave about. We have him 5th on the Bruins Benders Podcast top 30 prospects list. He's climbing the charts. He was a later round pick, 5th round, that's really blossomed, had a good career in the queue. He's solid all around player, and he's really progressing, and he really might have a chance to play in the league fairly soon.
Yeah, I think so. I thought he was really good all around today, offensively and defensively. Made some good moves in the offensive zone. Took the puck down the boards. Walked to the net. Then he had some good plays where he broke up, odd man rushes coming the other way and transitioned the puck quickly. So a little bit of everything from him today, and it was all pretty good. No really glaring errors. There was a few defensemen that passed the puck right to other guys on the other team in the slot and stuff like that. You didn't see any of those kind of glaring bad turnovers from him. So, a pretty good day overall for Brunet, I think.
So this is the roster that will play in the Prospects Challenge in Buffalo. Bruins play Friday, September 13th at noon. You can stream the game, watch it at sabres.com on the Sabres website. So check that out. All right, Chirp 5. Notable players who signed PTOs, a little rash of signings of PTOs. Max Pacioretty to the Toronto Maple Leafs along with Steven Lorentz. So Toronto taking a flyer on a couple of veteran forwards.
Yeah. I mean, all the PTO guys, I mean, it's nice for them. And, I think everybody's kind of, hyped up maybe about it because of, the success of Dan Heinen with the Bruins last year. But, overall, I mean, these guys should be fringe players. I mean, there's some guys there that, have a name and have done some things in the league. Your Kyler Yamamoto's and certainly Pacioretty has scored a bunch of goals. Sammy Blais and Jacob Vrana, Tanner Pearson, Tyler Johnson, two-time Cup winner coming to the Bruins. Mm-hmm. So there's certainly some guys with some cachet, but, they're towards the end. So, these guys are probably, on the edge of whether they make a roster. So, I mean, good for them to hitch on somewhere, but probably unlikely you'll see all these guys on opening day rosters.
Sure. And Yamamoto was rumored to be with the connected with the Bruins in a PTO, but he goes to Utah. And then James Van Riemsdyk, his career with Boston ends after one season. He will be with the Seattle Kraken on a PTO. See if JVR can extend his career with Seattle. So good luck to him.
He might help them on the power play. He might get a little more power play time in Seattle than he got here as a net front guy. And
sure,
Seattle could certainly use some goal scoring. So he might latch on there.
Chirp 6. Okay, there's a report from Elliot Freeman that says that Jeremy Swayman in his camp did ask for between $9 and $10 million from the Bruins in their negotiations. So Rich Keefe, Scoops Keefe, was correct.
He was. Everybody was out there shitting on Keefe, saying,
"No way, no way,
John, no way." He's asking for $10 million a year. Well, maybe he is, and maybe the Bruins are offering 6.2, and that's why the deal's not signed yet.
Well, here's what I didn't get about the whole thing. Like there was a rumor and a pretty good report that he asked for Charlie McAvoy money, which is 9.5.
Sure.
I mean, for God's sakes, why is it so outrageous? If he's asking for McAvoy money, that 10 is that outrageous?
Yeah.
Come on. He's asking for McAvoy money.
It's the same damn neighborhood.
Yeah.
So it's same damn neighborhood. 9.5, 10. I mean, Christ. Same neighborhood.
Yeah. There's also a false report out there that the Columbus Blue Jackets had offered an offer sheet to Swayman 4 years at 8.75. That is not correct.
That is a false
report. Don't fall for that. So Robert sent in a comment. Thank you for letting us know. And that after some quick research, that is debunked. Chirp 7. So Jonathan Marchessault talked on to Andy Strickland recently and made comments about Bruce Cassidy and how he basically said we mother effed each other and there was a lot going back and forth but he really respected it. It always got the team motivated. It really had a positive effect on the team. But I think this is why when Marchessault says these types of things, I think this is why Cassidy kind of he kind of burns out his welcome after a while because it can drain on you. But I think we're getting some good insight into, this happened in Boston with Cassidy. But Marchessault said that, at least for now, it really helps the Golden Knights and they really respond.
Yeah, it's fine because they're winning. But when they don't win,
they win the cup.
Then it doesn't, then it's not so hot. He said there were guys on the team that didn't like him, that just flat out didn't like Cassidy. So, he can mother F, they can mother F each other all they want. And if you're winning, that cures all. Everybody's fine with it. You can respect each other because in the end, it motivates the team and the team won the cup. But, if you're getting mother effed and you're in 7th place and the team's not performing and everybody hates you, then, things are going to go the other direction. So I think that is, the Bruins were never in 7th place, but I think that is why that Cassidy eventually wore out his welcome in Boston, and the guys, were kind of tired of the mother effing of it all.
Yeah, do you think Jack Eichel likes to be mother effed? I don't.
Yeah, I mean, Jake DeBrusk probably got tired of coming to work and Cassidy calling him a motherfucker because he wouldn't back check. Sorry, John.
Well, Brandon Carlo had a real hard time with it. He was beaten down.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon Carlo is a God-fearing man. He probably doesn't even like swearing. Never mind getting mother effed by a guy.
100%.
So I'm sorry, Brandon, as well.
Yes.
So
that's fine, Brandon.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with Cassidy, I think, that we kind of found out later that, you were like, okay, well, I can see now why maybe some of those guys were fed up with him, and maybe why, the leadership kind of took DeBrusk's side and not necessarily Cassidy's side. And we're like, the team was behind DeBrusk in that situation. And at the time you were like, why are they behind DeBrusk? He's not doing anything, he's in a slump. He's not playing well. He's asking for a trade, and his teammates are all like, yeah, we got his back. He's fine.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, the whole time. And, the thing about Cassidy, I think that we, in the beginning anyway, I think that we just assumed he was a player's coach because he was so good with the media and so kind of candid and cheeky. Right. And, we all kind of liked him and thought he was cool. So we thought the players probably thought the same thing, that they thought he was cool too. Right. But in essence, he was kind of a bitch to them. And, it was, and hey, that's what works for Cassidy. And it continues to work, and these teams perform really well. I mean, last year they had some injury problems, and they really hit a wall. He was on the Sick podcast today with Jimmy Murphy and Pierre Maguire, and he said that, mid-season is where you hit the wall after a long Stanley Cup run. The mid-season next year is where they just hit it, and you could see it. And then injuries set in, and they just didn't have the year they thought they'd have. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they continue to kind of listen to his message, and especially as the roster turns over and new guys come in, and the Pietrangelos and the Alec Martinezes are gone, and the Marchessaults are gone. Those guys kind of embraced it and were okay with it and sort of gave it back to him. But the younger guys, as they come in, are they going to want that? Are they going to respond to that? Who knows? I mean, there is a new age of player and of athlete, and you definitely have to treat them differently than you may have treated a veteran or even a young player back in the day. You could get away with more as a coach, I feel like, back in the day, and the athletes these days just, I don't know if they're necessarily soft, but we'll call them soft because we're old guys. But they're a little bit softer than they were back in the day. It's just they just expect coaching and authority. They expect things to be different. They just expect things to be handled differently. They expect to be talked to differently.
Yes.
They just expect a different way. The message to be sent a different way, and they respond a different way. And it's not like the old days where you could just shove a guy in a locker and do all that stuff and pants a guy if you didn't like him. You can't do that anymore. So that's just the way it is. DraftKings Sportsbook is Boston's hometown sportsbook. It's live right here in Massachusetts. Bet local on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home with DraftKings. To celebrate, all new customers will receive up to $200 in bonus bets when you sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook using code ITR. You can now bet local on money line, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks. That's DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and sign up with the code ITR to get up to $200 in bonus bets to use. Now that mobile sports betting is live in Massachusetts, that's code ITR, and it's only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If your loved one is experiencing problems with gambling, call 800-327-5050 or visit helplinema.org to speak with a trained specialist, free and confidentially 24/7. Must be 21 plus. Physically present in Mass. Eligibility restrictions apply. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as free bets. Terms at DraftKings.com/MA.
All right. Before we get to Beauties and Bender, we'll get to this comment from Danny. Danny, good to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Do you think the Bruins did enough this offseason to compete?
I think they addressed some of the things that they should have addressed. Whether or not that is enough, I'm not sure. I think that they addressed the center issue with Lindholm. Will he produce like a number one center? That's the big question to me. He didn't have a great year last year, but he had a great playoff. So can he build off the playoff as a Bruins fan, as Bruins fans? I think everybody hopes that is the case, but I'm not 100% sold on that. So that makes me a little bit nervous. I like the addition of Zadorov. I think he certainly adds a physicality to the defense, a toughness, a meanness to the defense that it needed. I think they have a big defense, so I think defense will be a strength of theirs. I'd like to see McAvoy kind of get back to more of a two-way style that he was playing under Cassidy. Whereas under Montgomery, he's been a little bit more of an offensive guy, a little bit more of a freelancer, so to speak. So that's a question mark I have. And then you lose Allmark, and your backup goalie is either Korpisalo or Bussy. Korpisalo was bad. Bussy is inexperienced. So that's another thing that you have an if with. Swayman, can he play a full season? Can he take the load of a number one goalie, playing 60 games? I don't know if they'll even do that. It'll be interesting to see how they handle all that. So there's some question marks. I like some of the additions, but you have to wonder how those are going to play out. There's a lot of ifs there. So that stuff makes me kind of nervous. I said before in one of the other episodes that I did not think they were really better than they were last year. You disagreed with me, but I think that's where I am. I think they're about the same, maybe slightly worse because of the goaltending situation.
Yeah, I think that they're probably, I'm a little different. I think that they're about the same, but potentially a little bit better, just because I think Lindholm, if he has a good year, provides a better option at center than they had.
Sure.
And then Lowry is a year older. Patra is a year older and stronger. I mean, there's a lot of ifs there, like you said. And those are three of the big ifs right there. I mean, those three guys, you need at least two of those guys to have a good year and be a good player. Like you have to. So, and if two out of the three, Lowry, and if Lowry and Lindholm have pretty good years, I think you're a pretty good team. And I think you're better potentially than you were last year. How do you fill that second line right wing is a glaring thing for me right now. Like you can't just throw Morgan Geekie there or Trent Frederic and be a Stanley Cup contender or even an Atlantic Division winner contender. You can't, because you need a like you said, scoring. You need talented offensive player to play in the second line. When in 2011 they had talented goal scorers up and down that lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Hortons and the Riders and the Reckies and the, Jesus, like,
I mean, the third line could score.
The third line could score. Right. So I think that's my thing, is that potentially they can be slightly better. I still don't think they can win a Stanley Cup with this group, but I think they might be able to, make a move at the deadline that could potentially get them, closer to a potential run in the playoffs. So, but then there's the other one, Charlie Coyle. Like, does Charlie Coyle have the same year? Like, that's a big
Bruins Benders legend in the chat.
Yes, he is.
Oh, Trav is back.
Trav is back.
Travis. So yeah, I think there's a lot of question marks, but I think if everything comes together, which it never does, but let's say everything comes together, then I think they could be a little bit better. I do. But again, Swayman has to play 55 games and play well, be top 5 goalie. Injury bug can't hit them too hard, especially in the forward group, in the high end forward group. So that's another thing.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think if everything shakes right for them, they'll certainly be better. Like if Lindholm is can develop chemistry with Pastrnak and Zacha, and he's back to the 80 point, 42 goal Hampus. I'm going to do that all fucking year. Hampus Lindholm.
Hampus and Elias.
Lindholm.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But if he can develop that chemistry and get back to that 42 goal player, then they'll certainly be good. Because that will be a huge boost for them offensively. Because last year it was really like Pastrnak, kind of Marchand, and then a drop off, with goal scoring. So, if he can add something there, then they'll certainly be a better team, 100%.
Yeah, and then Trav, it's good to see you again, my friend. Tyler Johnson will fill that void as a second line right wing until the trade deadline. I mean, I guess that's possible. But again, I don't love a line of 35 years old, 32 years old, 34 years old. I just don't. I don't like your second line to be the old guys, the AARP group. I don't like it. I don't love it. And it's also small. Johnson and Marchand are small too. So I don't love that either. So, but yeah, I mean, he's a veteran guy that you can put in there for a month or two and survive. Yeah, he probably could. It's not going to make or break your season, probably. But as it goes forward, you need a Merkulov or a Lysell or someone to emerge there at some point.
Yeah, you really need one of those guys to take that spot. Ideally, that's who your second line right wing is until the deadline. And then, if those guys are producing, great. If they're not, then maybe you look at the deadline to try to, supplement your goal scoring. But to me, you really want one of those young guys to kind of take that spot. And, you'll have Tyler Johnson around for insurance if he makes a roster. I think he could play up and down the lineup. He could plug in here or there, wherever you need him to. But, he is a smaller guy and he's older. He's coming off, what did he have, 17 goals with Chicago last year, which is 17. Good.
Yeah.
But, he was getting power play time. Like, I don't know if he's going to be seeing a lot of power play time with, the likes of Pastrnak around. We'll see what happens there. But, Merkulov needs to get a fair shake. He came up, he was playing 6 minutes a night, in the bottom six. That's not a legitimate opportunity for him to succeed.
It's not.
And Lysell's been banged up. He was just kind of becoming himself the end of last year. And I think if he didn't get banged up, he had an opportunity maybe to get called up at the end of last year. So those guys are right on the cusp. And they need to kind of push down the door and take a spot.
Yeah, Merkulov, questions about his demeanor, and that type of thing too. And of course, the rumors about contacting KHL teams. And I think if Merkulov, I think you're right. I think if Merkulov doesn't make the team, then it might be getting closer to the end of the line with him than we ever expected. And then Lysell, if he ends up at Providence and gets hurt again, boy, now you're talking about your top two prospects, and you don't know what's going to happen with them. Like there's really major concern. I think that's when that happens. So
yeah,
hopefully in the camp, either one of the two at least really show something and make a concerted effort to make the roster.
Travis Lysell is Senishin volume.
Well, I mean, that's a little unfair right now because of the injuries and because he's still 21.
Yeah.
Like he's still young. He still hasn't gotten a chance really to show because of injuries and he was actually learning how to play defense and all that stuff.
He still produced better in the AHL than Senishin ever did. Yeah,
Senishin blew from the get-go. And sorry, Zach, but he was bad from the get-go. And that's just the way it is. I'd like to see Lysell have a really good camp here. If he is invisible this camp, then yeah, I might get on more on that bandwagon of is he really a bust? Because if he doesn't show much at all, then that's going to be a bad sign.
I would agree with that.
Because I mean, look, he has every opportunity to be a second line right wing here right now.
Mhm.
And if you don't see that, then you're blind. And if he doesn't take advantage of it, then that's telling to me, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it is. Both of them. I mean,
Yeah,
you have every opportunity.
The opportunity is right in front of him. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a spot there waiting for someone to take it.
Yes, Tyler Johnson is minus 35 or waiting in the wings if you don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like you this is all you ever needed right here. Here it is.
That's I mean, as a young guy coming up to a pro team, that's really all you can ask for. There's a spot there for you to take. Just go and fucking grab it. Sorry, John. Go and grab it.
Yeah. You have a chance to play with Brad Marchand on his line and get 70 points
up. I feel like you'll score some, put some points up if you get to play with Brad Marchand and Charlie Coyle every night.
Yes.
So, get after it a little bit in training camp here and win a damn job.
Then I would really question if his heart's in it, or if he gets it, or any of it, or if he wants it, or any of it.
Mhm.
If neither one of them really show. All right, beauty time, and a beauty, and I'll tell you, this guy's been a beauty from the get go. It's hard not to like him, even though we were all over him in 2011. But Roberto Luongo
gonna love you, eh? They're gonna be loving you from dawn until dusk.
She shows up. They want to. Facebook posted that they needed a beer league goaltender, and in comes Roberto Luongo, and they win. He wins. He beats like the defending champs or whatever, the first place
defending champions of the VL League 4-2. He just shows up, walks into the dressing room. He's like, "Hey boys, your goalie's here."
Yeah,
this classic.
He is classic.
He is. He's a great storyteller. He's a really funny guy. He's a great follow on X. I think it's Strombone1 or Strombone on X. He's a great follow.
Let's try to get him on. I'd love to get him on.
I'd love to have him on.
Fun.
Seems like a great guy. And so yeah, it's just kind of a funny thing that he did. He's hung it up, but he's still out there, playing a little goalie now and again. So
he sure is. Yeah. Good for him.
Yeah,
that's really cool. He is. I mean, he shit down his pants. He'd be the first to tell you in 2011. But he's a swell guy.
And we'll always love him for losing to the Bruins.
Sure, absolutely.
And the bender this week is parking in the city. Yeah, I spent $36 for 2 hours of parking by the Warrior Ice Arena. It's unbelievable.
It's just in a rough spot. It's just like, I mean, my God.
They had a price for 0 to 1 hours, a price from 1 to 2, and then after that, it's full rate for the day.
2 to 24.
I mean, Jesus.
Yep.
I should have stayed. I should have just been like, my car's here. I'm going to stay in the city. You can stay until 6 a.m. the next day. You have to be out by 6 in the morning the next day.
Wow.
So, I mean, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's worth it if you're there all night into the morning.
Right. But our producer says it's to blame Swayman's contract demands. Delaware North is trying to squeeze every ounce of money out of you.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think it is. I think that's true. So parking in the city is not my favorite thing to do. Public transportation is a mess too, but we took that in when we went into the city earlier.
But I'll tell you that. But aside from that, you were saying that they let you around the arena wherever you want to go.
Yeah,
around the glass. And
I tell you what,
get some good shots.
Tell you what, it's a great take. You have to know where you're going because there really aren't any signs. Like I just walked in a side door of the building and then saw signs for
high school
level.
Rink. Yeah,
and walked all the way up. There were some people there like renting skates. And then when I went into the arena, there was a bunch of people there from, I guess, the Bruins, content team, videotaping and stuff like that. But there were probably 15 people in the rink, maybe 20.
Really?
Yeah. Not many.
Wow.
So, and you had access really anywhere you wanted to go in the stands, all around the ice surface, at ice level. So you could get up close. I got a puck while I was there. So, it's a pretty good take. Free. If you can get somewhere, get in there other than parking,
Right.
and paying for parking, if you can get there another way, it's a pretty good take.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to hit some practices throughout the year.
Yeah, tomorrow I think the rookies practice again. I believe at 9:30 in the morning. So
9:30 a.m.
Anybody's looking to head over 9:30 a.m. before they take the bus up to Buffalo. So it's a good take. You can get over there and see the guys up close for yourselves and check it out.
So the Bruins, after practice tomorrow, will go to Buffalo and play on Friday. Again, it's at noon against Pittsburgh, and it's at sabres.com, streamed live. All the games in the challenge will be at sabres.com. We thank everybody for listening and tuning in on YouTube Live. If you'd like to support the show, please head over to our merch shop. It's insidetherink.com/Bruins-Benders, or this QR code on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button on the Inside the Rink YouTube channel as well. And we will be back at it next week when the veterans get there on Wednesday night. The veterans will be there. It'll be the first day of full training camp on the 18th. We're excited. This is going to be quite a season. I think
it'll be a big season for the Benders. Hopefully the Bruins come along for the ride.
Yeah, certainly for the Benders.
Yeah, it's going to be a big season for us, but hopefully the Bruins come along for the ride.
For sure. All right. Until then, as always, go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.